Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Corner Pod, wherein we talk about all things football. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce a very special guest, a true pillar of the Manchester United fan community in India. United supporters know him by his Twitter handle, MUFC Prophecy, and also his Instagram handle at Midwicket Managers. Please join me in welcoming Sashi.
Hi, Harry. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Looking forward to a great time discussing Manchester United, something we love and dread at the same time.
That is so true. And thank you so much, Sashi, for accepting our invitation as well. Sashi was so quick to respond to us. And immediately when I said, bro, let's collaborate for a podcast, he was like, yes, tell me what day, what time, and I'm going to be there. So it's such a pleasure to have such a passionate United supporter on the pod. For our viewers, Sashi, could you give us a brief introduction? Tell us when you began supporting Manchester United, any early memories, and share a bit about your recent experience of meeting United legend Gary Neville in Chandigarh.
Absolutely. So, Harry, my journey of being a United fan started way back in 2006. Till then, I had not seen a single football match in my life. It was 2006
Okay.
World Cup, more specifically the England-Portugal game where Ronaldo played a hand in getting Rooney that red card. And after that red card, commentators kept talking about Manchester United. So me being a novice football fan, I was tuning in to watch England and Portugal, but the entire commentary was being dominated by Manchester United. So it intrigued me what it is. Then I looked them up online, became probably the fan that very second when I saw their logo. It was some sort of connection that happened. I loved the logo. I immediately bought into their history. Now it's been 18 years. I have not missed a single match since then. And yeah, the love story keeps going. And as for Gary Neville meeting that you
Brilliant.
said, it happened out of my Twitter connections. Like I responded
Okay.
to you within minutes because I was on Twitter and I'm on Twitter probably most of my time. So a good friend of mine arranged that meeting via Polo Tires because it was their event. And but it was the journey of reaching Chandigarh which was very funny. I'll share it with you. So that day I came to know that there are two Chandigarhs in Punjab, and they are about two. Yeah,
Wow.
they are in two separate directions. When I started from my place Gurgaon, I had put the wrong Chandigarh, as it seems, in my Google Maps. And when I was like 15 minutes away from the city, I thought of entering the exact venue's location so I could be on time. Gary was about to reach there at 5:30, and with my time in my according to my Google Maps, I was supposed to reach there at 5:15 in my head. So
Okay.
15 minutes away from Chandigarh, I entered the location, venue's location, and suddenly I was 2 hours away from the location.
It's
Immediately,
crazy.
I tried to cover that distance in 1 hour. Then, right at the
Okay.
border of the city, when I'm about to enter Chandigarh, a farmers' protest started. And my car was the first one to be stopped and asked to be turned around. Again, another detour,
Okay.
another hour's delay. Somehow, I managed to catch the final few minutes of Gary Neville's event in the pub where it was being hosted. Managed to take a photo, got the chance of speaking with him for 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. Initially, had I been on time, I would
Brilliant.
have spoken with him for like at least 7 to 8 minutes. That was my allotted time, but I could only speak with him for 30 seconds. Returned the same night as well. So, yeah, 12-hour drive that very day for 30-second meeting, but totally worth it.
Just goes to show how passionate fans are as a whole, and Manchester United fans are. So that is quite a journey, Sashi. And also, we were talking about the mid wicket manager. Do you want to tell our viewers as well what you do there?
It's a thing born out of passion. I watch a
Mhm.
lot of sports. Football is the most loved sports for me, but I am heavily into cricket, tennis, F1, basketball, and darts. I consume a lot of
Brilliant.
sports content. I have been on Twitter for the longest time, on Instagram for the longest time, and I just thought if you consume so much of content and if you are able to relate with what is being said, both in terms of cricket and football, why don't you give it a shot and try something of your own? So it's been 45 days so far where I've started this handle. Thankfully gotten up close to 3,000 followers. There are about three content which have already hit 1 million views and many others beyond
Brilliant.
100K views. So I guess so far it's going nice. Let's see where this road takes me and how the channel grows. It's on currently it's on Instagram, but if it picks up, probably I might have a YouTube and full-fledged entire mid-wicket manager what you say, umbrella around the sports channels. That's the plan.
Brilliant. Really hope you get to achieve everything that you set foot for the viewers. You can check out Sashi's socials on the description. So go give him a follow.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. So let's dive into the episode itself. In today's feature episode titled Red Devils and Turmoil, we are casting a spotlight on a club which is perpetually under rebuilding since 2013, and that is Manchester United. We will delve deep into the INEOS enigma as we dissect puzzling backroom decisions, examine Ashworth's abrupt exit and its fallout, tackle Amorim's acid test and his challenges in adapting to Old Trafford's unforgiving demands. And also, we'll talk about the January window prospects and preview the Manchester Derby for the weekend. So, buckle up, folks, for talking United is never for the faint hearted. So, buckle up and let's dive into the episode. We shall start with Ineos's baffling and puzzling decisions in the last few weeks. Sashi. So on December 8th, as all United fans know, The Athletic reported that Dan Ashworth has been sacked, sending shockwaves amongst the Manchester United fan base, as Dan Ashworth had spent as much time in gardening
Yeah.
leave as sporting director at United. So, Sashi, could you take the viewers through what the reasons were and whether the decision was prudent or one that was made in haste by Ineos?
Hari, I can only think that this entire decision has been taken because Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ashworth were not aligned on many things. The source that you quoted, the same source has also stated that Ashworth was not in favor of putting Amorim as the new United manager. He had names like Graham Potter to be coming in as the interim manager, and perhaps Gareth Southgate and Eddie Howe as the full time manager once this entire transition phase is over. And a lot of people at INEOS clearly wanted Amorim. So probably that was the starting point of where they probably were not seeing eye to eye. And also Ratcliffe was not happy with few of the things and in the way Ashworth was functioning on some key details, specifically letting go of few people at the club where INEOS wanted Ashworth to be more cutthroat, more shrewd, but he was taking a lot of time, which INEOS probably did not like. Eric Ten Hag, the guy is gone from the club, but he probably was another reason why Ineos had a scuffle with Ashworth because Ineos wanted him gone last summer, despite that FA Cup result for us. But Ashworth wanted him to stay on. And then how the season started, probably in back of their heads, Ineos put everything on Ashworth's shoulders and thought that the entire summer of mismanagement and not doing things their way, and it was all Ashworth's fault. Perhaps that was the only reason that I can think that they have taken a decision in such a haste. Specifically, where Ratcliffe went on air, gave an interview, called Ashworth a 10 on 10 sporting director, and probably weeks after that interview, he was gone. So,
Yeah.
that is what I feel. They were not aligned in many aspects. And also, I feel that Jason Wilcox has really grown in reputation with Ineos in the last few weeks.
Hmm.
He has
Hmm.
suddenly become that face, the person to carry out things which a director of
Yeah.
football would ideally do. So even after Ashworth is gone, I believe I may be wrong here, but Ineos have probably scrapped this position from Manchester United as of now in their hierarchy. So they
Hmm.
see Jason Wilcox
Okay.
doing that thing, and they don't need a replacement for Ashworth as of now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the insights there, Sashi. Just a question for you, this whole appointing Dan Ashworth, because the term that Ratcliffe used was best in
Class, yeah.
class. And it was not, yeah, exactly. And it was not just the compensation that we paid for Newcastle, but the gardening leave, which also allowed us to do a lot of background checks. And I know into any new reign, there are going to be some mistakes that are made. And so, do you think that there was a mistake with Ineos in their background checks? Because if you look at Dan Ashworth, all of his previous experience have been very pro
Hmm,
English, like whether his experience at Newcastle, his experience with the English FA, everything has been pro
right.
English. So if and then if obviously Dan Ashworth and his choices for manager, as you suggested, were also all
Yeah.
English. How Graham Potter, Southgate. So if this was going to be a problem, do you think Ineos could have looked outside, or it was just due diligence not done right now that they have to cut their losses? And are you happy with cutting their losses now rather than prolonging it to the summer, because we have an important January window as well
No, I think
that is coming
that
up?
is where I would give some credit to Ineos, wherein
Mhm.
they're not delaying or prolonging their decisions like we have been accustomed to under the Glazers. So they're not, if they're not happy with something, they will let them go. It can be a director. They did not hesitate in letting go Sir Alex Ferguson. So if Sir Alex Ferguson is being held accountable to those standards, then who is Dan Ashworth? To be very
True.
honest. And we should also realize that this is also a new thing for INEOS. Managing a
Hmm.
club of Manchester United stature. Yes, they had
Yeah.
their prior experiences with Nice, but Manchester United is a whole different beast. And perhaps when they assembled this entire cast of Avengers, probably they did not foresee this, that they are bringing along probably too many people for this role at this point of time.
Hmm.
And obviously, when they revisited the entire scenario after 3 4 months, Ashworth was probably that one guy who they could afford to let go of, and still they
Hmm.
could make sure that Manchester United is functioning on all parameters where they feel they need to do. And I'm happy with these cutthroat decision makings right now, as compared to regretting it 6 months down the line and to have wasted two more
Hmm.
transfer windows where we might see Ashworth going after all British players and all English players, and there is a conflict between Ashworth, Wilcox, Barada, and then we are a mess. So rather than have people right now like Barada, Wilcox, and Sir Dave Brailsford, seem to be on the same page, at least from what we are hearing. So let's have people who are working towards the same goal. If they fail, it will be on those three people. At least they will not have someone to blame now for their mishaps in
True.
January or the summer transfer.
That's a very interesting take, Shashi. And there's a couple of points that I want to take from what you said as well. You mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson, and then now the Dan Ashford stuff as well. So, as you said, Ineos are not scared to take these tough decisions. The stadium ticket prices have been hiked,
Mhm.
such that the revenue that will be generated out of that hike will be just 1 or 1.5 million, whereas they paid 8 million for Eric Ten Hag's sack, and then an additional 3 million
For
for
Ashworth Sack.
to get Ashworth, exactly, and now he's sacked. So when you put all of this together, right, doesn't it feel from a fan perspective to be a bit pissed that they're making some decisions very haphazard and not well thought through, even though they are tough decisions and may stand us in good
Absolutely.
stead in the long run?
Absolutely. They are
Yeah.
difficult decisions, specifically with Sir Alex Ferguson, because he is like
Mm.
the godfather of this club. And if you
True.
do anything which is remotely hurtful to that man, the entire fan base is
Yeah.
going to be in angst. That goes without saying. However, since this season has started, we have used a term that this is a free hit for everyone. It was a free hit for Ten Hag. It is deemed as a free hit for Ruben Amorim, for all the players. So let it be a free hit for Ineos as well. Let
Okay.
them do their things. Let them struggle. Let them find out. Let them reach to a specific conclusion where they feel this is the right approach in which Man United should be run. So, specifically me, I will go after their heads after the season is done. Specifically when the summer window is over. But then this is the case. Every summer window looks like this is the most important summer window in Manchester United's history, because probably in summer we might as well go after 3 4 key players, which will shape our squad in going for the title. But 3 months into the season, entirety of the squad is up for the sale, in terms of, in at least in the minds of the fans, everyone is allowed to leave,
100%.
and we need 60 new players to compete. So I hope that is not the case when these guys cater to the January transfer window and then the summer transfer window. They've already signed that 17-year-old Diego Leon, the left back. Hopefully it is a sign to come. And also, as per the recent reports, Wilcox has set up a very shrewd scouting network in South American market, where he has appointed 5 new scouts. So we will see some cut price and good deals for the younger players, which Real Madrid and Barcelona are very good at doing. So perhaps our scouting will improve in South American market. Some good players, at least better than Anthony. I don't know how his passport says Brazilian, but yeah, we might get some good Brazilian or Argentine players from South American market. So I'm hopeful. I'm giving Ineos a free hit. If it's a free hit for everyone, like I said, it has to be a free hit for the new regime as well.
Mhm. And your hope for Amorim as well, Sashi, because my question now is Ineos, you said, is a free hit, and Amorim is INEOS is higher. And clearly, that was not the case with Eric Ten
Hmm.
Hag. As a fan, my only concern is when I look at the other sporting ventures like Nice. They've gone through these 5 or 6 managers where the same cutthroat, the same tough decisions have also been made there. And there's not been any continuity. No manager has been given a little bit of a long rope to see, to improve, to build upon seasons. So, do you think that will be something that United fans should fear as well at United? Or do you feel this is going to be totally different?
No, with Amorim, I feel we have got the right man at this point of time.
Mhm.
Like the man himself said, I am at the right club at the right time. I normally have this conversation with all my United friends as to, let's say if Amorim does not work out in next 12 to 18
Mm.
months, do you have any other manager right now who is available to come at Manchester United?
No,
I
I
fail
don't.
to think of anyone who can come with a pedigree. Let's say Klopp will never come to United. That's a foregone
True.
conclusion. Pep will not come to United. The two best in class managers in the world right now, they're not there. Nagelsmann is with Germany. I don't know how long his contract will run. Simeone, again, I don't know. The moment Simeone comes, majority of the United fans will be like, no, this is not the United way. He's a defensive manager and blah, blah, blah. So that there goes your option as well. Ancelotti is too old to make a move to Manchester United. Who else? Either we go back to those
Yeah.
Southgate, Eddie Howe, or Graham Potter route, for which Ashworth has been sacked, or just
True.
Amorim. The guy has come
Yeah.
with some pedigree, but same happened with Ten Hag as well. He came with a lot of pedigree. Nothing worked. I just hope it works because to be very honest, I don't have emotional stability left in me to go through another sacking of a good manager. Louis Van
True.
Gaal was a great manager. Mourinho was a great manager. Ten Hag came with all the pedigree. He failed. If
Yeah.
Amorim fails at Manchester United, I genuinely, I don't know whether it's a fact or it's a made up quote, but someone somewhere down the line said that Paul Pogba said that United are cursed. And before he left,
Yeah.
he has buried that hyena in Old Trafford. So it's about damn time we find that hyena and dig it out of the ground
True.
to get rid of that curse. No, all jokes
True.
aside, I believe Amorim will work because much like Ineos, he's also a bit rigid in his approach. Coming to Man United, it would have been an easier route for him to try with a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 and then gradually shift these players to 3-4-3 after putting them through hard training sessions. But from day one, he was hell
Mm.
bent. I am going with 3-4-3. It is you guys who have to adjust. And for the love of God, if in the next 18 months, give your manager the preference over these players because these players have been
Yeah.
here for three different tenures. Solskjaer,
True.
Ten Hag, Ragnick in between, yeah. So yeah, three different tenures, and if Amorim wants to do things his way, let him have his way. And probably we might as well find a new system, which is the United way of playing, attacking, and I'm not gunning for glory or title. I just want United to play good football, and I don't want to
Yeah.
be dominated by any XYZ team that we come up against. We
Mhm.
somehow we are always the lesser coach side, no matter in which competition we are playing, either it's Premier League, it's Europa League, it's League Cup, FA Cup. We always seem like that we don't know what is happening on the training grounds.
Yeah. Truer words could not have been spoken, Sashi. Seriously. Coming to the Pogba quote, I'm sure half of the hyena has been buried under Old Trafford and half of the hyena he ate it himself, looks like, because both of the things have not gone post his departure. Probably why Sir Jim is very keen on building a new
New
stadium.
stadium, about damn time.
Yeah, yeah. But some really salient points that you made, Sashi. We need to give Amorim a go, and there's certain players who've just outlived managers or thrown managers under the bus, as some United fans say. But the biggest challenge for Amorim right now is there's some players who are not fit for the courses,
Yeah,
either for the system or for the intensity, or they've just been underperforming for a couple of seasons now. The other thing is for Amorim, in order to implement his ideas, in order to implement his system, he's come in at a time where we have the most congested fixture list
yeah,
ever. Like,
absolutely.
he says that most of the training has to be done in real matches,
Mm.
and he's out there shouting instructions, barking instructions on the touchline. So, what does Amorim need? Sashi, in December and January in order to salvage something this season? And who are the players you feel are going to be on the chopping block come this January and in the summer?
Uh, Practically speaking, I don't think we will see much movement in the January transfer window because it
Mhm.
will not be a viable move for the players coming in. Because if you're getting someone in January, it means either they're struggling at their own club, or they're battling some sort of injury, or they're out of form. These are the only players
True.
you get in January. Suddenly, you're not going to get a Jamal Musiala or a Lamine Yamal being available in January and saying, "Okay, Manchester
Yeah.
United, come and get me." So there's no point in running after the players. I truly believe if our squad remains fit throughout the course of the season, Amorim has those kind of players available to him to make the system somewhat functional. I think the biggest roadblock for him is the wing back position right now, because that is where he is chopping and changing most of the times, and he's not getting that success. Ahmad has nailed on that right wing back slot, so if he stays fit, I can see him play majority of the matches from that position. The left wing back role supposedly belonged to Luke Shaw, but that dude is never like fit to play that role. So we have to put up with Diego Dallo, who I personally feel is not made for that role. Dallo is getting a lot of bash on online because of his recent performances, deservedly so. Position aside, suddenly if you're transitioning from right back to a wing back role, you will not forget how to pass, and that is what he has been
True.
doing in the last 2 3 matches. His passes, his choice of passes have been horrendous at times. The manner in which he gives the ball away in crucial situations is not doing the team justice at times. But yeah, in Mazarawi, we have a brilliant footballer. He can play in at least 6 7 different positions. And if we get Euro, Maguire, Delict, and Martinez all four fit, I would really hope to see Mazarawi in those wing back positions because he is defensively shrewd. He is very smart going forward. His choice of passes are almost on point, 8 out of the 10 times. With Ahmad and Mazarawi, probably you will have your wing back sorted. And one thing I would request Amarim, probably if he sees this podcast, good for both of us that he sees this podcast. Do not take Bruno away from those number 10 roles. He will
Mhm.
do a shift for you because for me he's
Yeah.
a very selfless and very driven player. He will play in goal if it needs to be done. He will be your holding midfielder. But if you have Bruno closer to the goal, your chances of creating something out of nothing becomes much more prudent. Like we see at this point of time, you need to give Hoyland probably 2 or 3 chances in a match to for him to score a goal, whereas it was probably 6 or 7 chances last season. Then he was scoring a goal. So keep Bruno closer to the goal. You have a gem of a player in Ugarte. He will do very well for us. I'm pretty sure. Kobe Menu is recovering from his injury. He will become regular. Casemiro has somewhat assured himself after a horrendous start to the season. So he, being the elder statesman, he can play like every other game. He can be available and he will be there to do a shift. Mason Mount, Amorim loves him. He can be that rotational player. He can be playing anywhere. Number 10s, holding, wing backs, any position you say, Mount has that adaptability and capability to do the same. So I believe he has a squad. It's about giving him enough time to put these players through a mold and making sure that they buy into his system and they function. One name which I have not taken, which I genuinely believe, for both of their sakes, the player himself and the club, we should let Marcus Rashford leave. I don't know. How can we have the same conversation every match day that his head is not in the game?
Yeah.
If he does not want to be here, might as well play football somewhere else. If you're not
Yeah.
getting the salary which you're on right now, it's your problem, not our problem. Find a club. I'm sure you have a brilliant management team around you who will do anything to find a good club for you with that salary. Get a new club, play football, probably enjoy football if you're not enjoying at Manchester United, and
Sure.
leave that number 10 spot for guys like Bruno, Mount. I believe right now there is some sort of compulsion in every United manager in the past 12 to 18 months that you have to start Rashford because of his pace and the runs which he once made. He's not making them right now.
Fair.
He once made.
Yeah. Yeah.
not every time that conversation has to be about how do you make Marcus Rashford play better. If he's not fitting the
True.
system, there are other players who can do that job.
Brilliant. I love how you left one player out and then singled him out very well. I think that is the sentiment of most United fans. And as you correctly said, not for the lack of trying by all managers. Every manager who's come in has started Rashford and tried to bring the best out of him. But at some point, as Amorim clearly said, Rashford needs to want it.
Yeah,
That is when,
absolutely.
exactly, that is when we're going to see a change in his performances. But Sashi, before we finish with Amorim, realistically, also with us, flying so close to the PSR rules and the funds we might have to sell to buy new players. So this tight purses, let's say if funds are generated, who would you like to see us go for in the summer?
Me playing career mode on FIFA and trying to get everyone
Yeah.
that I could get my hands on. Now,
That
see, if
is
you're
true.
going for that one player, I don't know what his contract situation is right now with Bayern, but we keep hearing that Musiala might be available. If Man City
Mhm.
are in for him, he might be available in the summer. If that is the case, we should, I think, try for him because he fits that system perfectly. One of those two number 10s, one of the finest
Mhm.
passers in the game, one of the finest dribblers in the game, likes to attack centrally, has that shot in him as well. So if he becomes available, then yeah, I would love to see United go all guns blazing for Musiala. And in terms of players who we might need to sell to make way for the new players, I think Rashford has to leave. I don't have anything against the guy. It's just that he is not making my team play any better. And even if you watch the last night's match, there was one shot where he was alone from the left wing. It was a volley, and we have seen Rashford hit targets with those shots. I'm not
Yeah.
asking him to
Yeah.
score a goal. Take a shot which makes us feel okay, he's in the game. So yeah, it's about time he leaves. And I one name I would take, I don't know whether how well it is going to sit with the fans. I don't think Xerxes is quite up there for the
Yeah.
system perhaps and what Amorim is wanting from him. When we signed him, what were his two biggest assets? He could hold up the ball, he could pass the ball.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was horrible with both those things last night. Almost all
True.
his passes were either underhit or overhit. So
Yeah.
he's also probably playing in a new system for the first time, and he did not make things
Mm.
easier for himself when he said, "I'm not a number 9, I'm not a number 10,
Yeah.
I'm a bloody 9.5." So he is playing like a 9.5 because he's playing like a
Yeah.
guy who cannot run. I don't know. At this point of time, if you give him a through ball and say you're
True.
1 versus 1 against a decent paced center back, can you take him on? And 9 out of the 10 times, I don't have that confidence on Xerxes to that he
No.
will beat him for pace and then he will finish.
Yeah.
So Xerxes,
Yeah.
he's still young. We can get something out for him.
Mhm.
Anthony,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
time for him to part ways with United, start a new chapter in his life, and enjoy football. Because clearly, him and Rashford are not enjoying football at Manchester United.
True.
Casemiro, for his age and for his
Yeah.
lack of legs, football has clearly not left Casemiro. He has at least 1 or 2 good seasons in him to probably go to Saudi or Italian leagues. He will do well. He is an amazing player. Maguire, if possible, if we can probably sell Maguire. Ericsson and Lindelof will most likely leave on free, so I'm not counting anything. They'll probably just free us the wages. And in terms of whom we can go after, there's a guy, Giovanni Quenda from Sporting. He has been heavily linked with United,
Yeah.
the 17-year-old. He's an absolute dynamo of a player. We probably might be going for him. Jokeres, I would love to see him at United. I'm not going by that notion that you have Hoyland. Why do you need Jokeres? At Manchester
Mm.
United, you can have two world class strikers fighting for that number 9 role week in, week out. And with the
100%.
rotation that Amorim has done in his first few weeks in charge, I believe the same will keep on happening. And Hoyland and Jokeres are young. They can afford to
Yeah.
be coming from the bench and changing the game like Holland did last night.
Yeah.
He came, he banged those
Yeah.
2 goals, should have had a hat trick if Ahmad had passed him better. But yeah, Gyökeres Holland
Yeah.
should be our leading the lines for Manchester United. You can have two quality
Yeah.
centre forwards. Branthwaite, if, when I'm not saying if, when Everton get relegated, we get him for 20 million.
I feel that would be so sad though.
Chris Rigg
Yeah.
from Sunderland, and
Oh, an interesting
and
name.
Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace. If you're letting go of
Okay, that's
Ericsson and the Casemiro in the same window, you'd want to replace them with two younger lads. And then Toby Collier is there. He has just come back from
yeah,
injury, started on grass training. So with Collier, Rigg, Wharton, Mainu, Ugarte, Bruno coming in midfield at times, Mount at times, you'll have your midfield sorted. You've signed that 17-year-old left back Diogo Leon. I'm sure we'll be in the market for some dynamic wing backs. At this point of time, I am not sure whom we will go after, because we will be linked with Theo Hernandez, we will be linked with Alfonso Davis, we will be linked with Jules Conde, and we might as well be linked with Ashraf Hakimi as well. So apart from these
why
four,
not?
any other will do. But let's see
Yeah,
whom we get linked to. So this is my realistic
brilliant.
summer hit list.
I think Gyökeres and Højlund, because Gyökeres is I think already 26, 27. So let's say next year when he joins, we'll have that one slightly old, experienced and older
Yeah, yeah.
striker, and then Højlund is now 21 or 22. That will be perfect. But again, it's wishes, and obviously we need to generate the funds and sell well in order to get these players that Amorim truly needs. Moving on to the Manchester Derby then on Sunday has to be one of the most low profile build up to the game because both the teams are not there, but this could be a much needed kickstart for both of their seasons. City have only won
One.
one in their last
San
10.
Marino have
That is
more victories
crazy.
in their last 10 games than Manchester City. So, yeah, what a time to be
That
alive.
is shocking. It is brilliant to be alive. I mean, Pep is having a very torrid time, but at the same time, United in the league are 13 and 8 points of top
Yeah.
four. So, what would you like to see from United in the derby? Your starting 11 for United, and do you think United have a chance at Etihad now that City are there for the picking?
Against this City team, oh, yes, we are winning for sure. We are winning for sure. They have like one win in 10, so they'll have one win in
Yeah,
11. Given the form they're on, it's an easy win for us. But jokes aside, it's still Man City. They still have Haaland. They still have Foden. I don't know what happens to these two blokes when they come against Man United. They always
yeah,
score. These two are like the new David Silva and Sergio Aguero. Those two blokes always scored
true.
or assisted against us, and these two are doing the same. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Pep will also have that revenge on his mind with Amorim, because just before joining
Yeah.
United, Amorim humiliated Pep, and that is where this entire perhaps downfall of Man City started.
To
Before
that, they
that, they
had a
had
couple
lost
of
to
yeah,
Spurs in the League Cup. It was
yeah,
followed by Man City, and since then, it has not been the
true.
same. So Pep will have that in his mind. He is not a guy who forgets things pretty easily. It's a new system. That is what I'm more excited about, because I was reading a quote from Fabio Capello last night after City's loss to Juventus, and it is very alarming but refreshing at the same time. He said it might be the case that Pep does not have anything new to offer to these City players. If you have
Hmm,
a 6'5" giant leading your line, where are the crosses?
true.
He only knows perhaps to play with one system, and also, not many teams in Europe these days play three at the back. Pep has done everything in the game, but I would still say it's a new challenge for him, because if you combine the frenetic pace of Premier League and Amorim system, it will be a new challenge for City and Pep to conquer. With Rodri not being there, their favorite excuse for the past 2 months, City are there to be attacked for once. And I think in every match since Amorim has taken over, even in that Arsenal game, United have ended up with more possession than their opposition. So probably it will be the
Hmm,
first game where Amorim might see his team not having that control of the ball. Although we don't do that
true.
much with that position, but still we like to
Yeah.
have ball in at our feet. So I'm expecting a good game, given
Mhm.
City's recent poor form. Of course, they're there for the taking. We have players like Holland who can score. We have players like Bruno who can create. We have Matthias Delict who has quietly under the radar has been one of our better performers this season. And both Delict and Mazurai now look like a bargain deals at the prices at which they came. If we have Ugarte playing at his best, if we have Delict playing at his best, Onana not fucking up every
Yeah.
every other minute, I'm quietly confident that we might get something out of this match. I'm not saying we will win, but
Mhm,
we might get
mhm.
something out of this game, be it a draw, be it a result, because we have the right set of players who can go and get a result at City. Speaking of the lineup, Onana, despite his horror shows in the last two matches, because we don't have backup keeper, Delict. If Lenny Yoro is fit, probably it will be a too big a game for him to immediately come and probably play. If we are like 1-0 up or 2-1 up with 20 minutes to go, I can see him coming on, but not starting. Delict, Mazarawi, and Licha, the back three. Ahmad from right wing back. Diogo Dallo from left wing back. Ugarte and Menu. I would give Menu this chance and not probably rely on
Yeah,
Casemiro to be that
true.
elder statesman. And he has played a lot of these kind of matches to shield United's midfield. I would want Menu to come in just like he did in the FA Cup game, dominate a
Yeah,
game of this
that would be
stature, and elevate his position as the long-term United's midfield solution. Bruno as one of the number 10s, Mount as one of the number 10s, and Hoyland leading the line.
brilliant. I think that would be a really good lineup to start with. And then obviously, Amorim loves to have his five substitutions. In terms of score line, Sashi, your prediction for that game?
I would go for a sneaky 2-1 victory for United. With it has been a rough week for Garnacho. Garnacho scoring the
Yeah.
winner late 80s, like 80,
Wow.
86 or 87th minute winner for Garnacho.
That would be amazing. Along with the 130
Yeah,
charges and new scratches on Pep's head, that would be absolutely brilliant if that were to be. But that is all we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us on the pod. It has been absolutely lovely having you with us.
likewise, Hari.
And we are very, very grateful
Like,
sharing your
thank you so
thoughts
much
and
for
insights
the
as well.
opportunity to come here, rant as much as I want about United. Before we wrap, I to whosoever who will tune in and will watch the podcast, I genuinely have this one request: stay away from these player FC era that we live in. Even if you don't like any player playing for Manchester United, there's no reason to abuse them online or want them to have absolutely everything bad happen to them. You can shy away from them. Player FCs are never the way to go forward for the true fans. You love the club first approach will always be with the real fans, the hard earned fans. And yeah, hope to see United do well, not only in this derby, but right throughout the season. If Amorim system clicks, who knows, we might get a top five, which we may be enough for a Champions League spot next season. And Europa League is still there. Looks like we are going to qualify for the next round without any hassle after that Hoyland brace last night. So yeah, hopefully all things will turn out to be good by when the season ends.
Brilliant. Spoken like a true fan, Sashi. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. Viewers, you can find Sashi's socials in the description. Please go give him a follow on Twitter, on Instagram. And as always, please do share and subscribe to our content on Football Corner Pod. We know it's not a big milestone, but our content collectively has garnered over 3,000 views on our YouTube channel. That is all because of your love and support. So keep it coming, guys. And we will be coming back soon with another episode, with another friend of the channel, new perspectives, new discussion points. So until then, take care, be safe, and be aware of any corners taken quickly. See you all. Bye.